Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Allred along with meteorologist Scott Roberts on this Sunday night, and we have an update for you about Hurricane Isaias as the storm system is making its way up the East Coast.
Yeah, we have some good news. The last advisory came out at 5 o'clock. Now, the storm did become a little bit stronger. It was trending around 65 miles per hour throughout the day. 5 o'clock advisory came out. We do have a stronger tropical storm Isaias, but the good news is from the advisory is that things are going to be looking better for us. The track should be a little bit more offshore, and as the storm remains lopsided, as we've been looking at on our satellite imagery, that's even better news for us, as this should be staying about, what, 85 to 90 miles or so off the coast.
Yeah, so you can tell we're actually very relaxed, which is a good sign. That is going to let you know that we've got things under control. The confidence has gone up with the latest forecast model trends, so we are not going to feel the brunt impacts of this storm system. Now, we're going to have some things, but let me tell you, if you are watching us, WSCB.com, or if you are watching us from Facebook, just keep in mind that on Facebook, all you have to do is post any comments or questions on it. I've got my phone here, and we will be able to answer as many questions as we get to. So don't be afraid. Ask us a question. No question is stupid. We are going to answer them all, and we'll get to them as we can. But first, let's talk a little bit about today, because a couple of things with the data. We talked about how the confidence is going up with the model data. But hurricane hunters, they've had a couple of issues today. At one point this morning, they were having to circle the storm, just keep on circling it because they had to troubleshoot some equipment that deals with their radar. And then we just got some information that they're having some issues with reading the correct air pressure, right?
Yeah, so that could have been leading to some of the variations that we've been seeing. And also, if you have a pressure reading that's off, you put that into the model data, you're going to get some off results.
Yeah, but from what we know, that's been fixed.
Yeah.
So the storm system was showing like a burst of energy actually earlier today, but that was short-lived. And now the storm system, there you go, take a look here. A lot of us that have been watching this storm system, you know, if you're sitting at home, these storms are never perfectly round. The most energy from this storm system is on the eastern side. So sometimes when we look at the path of this storm, we're thinking, well, if it's going to be this close to the coast, Chris and Scott, how can you say that we're not going to feel the impacts of the storm? Well, that's because the strongest part of the storm is not perfectly in the circle, it's not perfectly round, it's on the eastern side, which means most of the active weather is going to be out over the ocean and not over land.
Yeah, and as this moves northward, that means it's going to be further out to sea from us, further out to sea from land, but it will make a big impact for parts of North Carolina and around the PD and Grand Strand of South Carolina. So basically Charleston and points northward will be dealing with the greater impacts of this. As far as the system right now, with all that convection off the coast, that's where the rain is. Look at the radar over Florida, the peninsula. You have some activity coming in over Daytona, a few spotty showers over Orlando, the west coast, so just a very small band kind of breaking up around Fort Myers, Charlotte Harbor, Tampa, seeing that same type of activity. And that's that dry air that has been working against the system from it really becoming strong. There's a lot of energy in the Gulf Stream that it's over right now, but it's getting overtaken by that dry air and some wind shear that's really preventing it from strengthening. If we didn't have the warm water, this storm probably wouldn't be anything near the strength that is now, much less just shy of hurricane strength.
Yes, and when we talk about how it's running into a shear environment and it's shredding the storm system apart, it's weakening the storm system. So that's a better scenario for us no matter what. Even if it were to wobble more to the west, it's still not some strong storm system that's healthy in the way that it's going to be producing a lot of impacts for us. It's not. It's,
we would need about a wobble of 100 miles for us to have the major impacts from us. That's not likely at all at this point, so that's some very good news for us.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next graphic. Then I'm getting some questions, and I'm seeing them, but we're going to get to them. So I am reading these, and every one that I've read so far, we have them in line. So just stay with us, because I bet we will get to them. Okay.
All right. We are already starting to feel the effects, very, very fringe effects from this storm. That circulation bringing some showers off the Atlantic. During our 6 o'clock show, we showed you some video of some higher than normal tides where the water at Tybee was pretty much up to the sand dunes. So about 100 yards, 150 yards of beach was underwater this morning. We'll see more of that with that onshore flow as we head into the tonight and into the first part of tomorrow. Now, here is the latest.
First, let's go back,
sure,
though.
Sure.
Speaking about the water, if you do live out on Tybee, I know that the beaches are closed, but if you live out on Tybee and you are in an environment where you can get some pictures or video to show us what the tides are looking like, send them to us, please. Pics at pics@wscv.com. Again, that's pics@wscv.com, because we want to see, and we want to take that information and send it to the National Weather Service so we can verify if the forecast, in fact, have turned out to be exactly true. Because if we know what's happening now has verified, we know that what's going to happen in the future is also going to verify. So help us out in that way if you can.
Yeah, and it helps everyone involved in the weather community. Okay, so now the latest advisory, a little old at this point, now that it's after 7 o'clock, but as of 5 o'clock, this is the last major update that we've received from the National Hurricane Center, where we update the location, the intensity, and the projected path of the tropical system. So 70-mile-per-hour sustained winds, I think the next advisory that will hold true. 85-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That's more out to sea on the eastern side of this, so the Florida Peninsula not dealing with anything near that, just dealing with some tropical storm force wind gusts. Now, as we head through tonight and into the first part of tomorrow, that's going to be moving more to the north, but notice how far out to sea it is now. The left side of that track, the west side of it, no longer includes the coastal empire and low country. More in the Charleston area, points northward toward North Carolina. That's where they will be dealing with those greatest issues. But by 2 o'clock, this will be off the coast of Brunswick. That's when we will start to feel some of the bigger effects here along the more northern coast of Georgia and into the low country. And a little closer view there, you can see by very early Tuesday morning, this is going to pick up some speed and will already be making its way more toward North Carolina. And then as we head into the middle part of the week, this will be moving up into the New England states and beyond. The forecast path goes all the way up into southern Canada, at least for the maritime provinces. And because of the winds that we will be dealing with, possibly right along the coast, wind gusts, we do still have some tropical storm warnings in place.
Just a reminder too, even if the track does wobble just a little bit, when you look at the cone of uncertainty, it's already narrowed so much. So even if it does, the center of the storm system starts to get on that very western edge of the cone, it's still, our impacts are really not going to change much. So what we are predicting in these forecast graphics is what we expect, and in some cases it's actually the worst case scenario. So that too.
Yeah, so as that storm moves northward, we're going to see these begin to get canceled out.
Yeah.
So I think either way, more in the South Carolina counties, you'll have that better chance of having those tropical storm force gusts. And these alerts extend all the way up into the mid-Atlantic, where they do have tropical storm watches that have been issued for North Carolina, eastern sections of North Carolina, and into Virginia. So pretty fast-moving system, and that's where we will likely feel the bigger impacts, thankfully not for us in our neck of the woods.
And for a tropical storm warning that is in effect, which is in effect up and down the coast, that means that we are expecting some areas to see winds sustained greater than 39 miles per hour. That may not even happen. We've been looking at a couple of forecast models where we are expecting some wind gust to get that strong, but it's possible that we won't see them sustained. But a warning means that worst case scenario, we could see some maximum sustained winds greater than 39 miles per hour. And that could mean it's going to be a little gusty day tomorrow at the beach. So that could still lead to some knockdown trees.
Absolutely.
Because we don't know what everybody has on their property, or some areas that are not looked at like they should be. It doesn't take much. If you have a couple of hours where the winds are gusty, that could knock down trees, and that could lead to some scattered power outages.
Yeah,
worst case scenario.
Especially if you're in one of the areas that ends up getting more of the heavy rain areas right along the coast, especially the closer to Charleston you would be located, and the South Carolina side, you'd have that better chance. We do have a flash flood watch that's in place for Beaufort County, because we could see a couple of inches of rain, but most of us are not going to see anything like that. If you're closer to middle Georgia, closer to the Midlands of South Carolina, you'll likely not see that either. But here is a breakdown of what we are expecting. Monday through the day and into Monday night. As we head into the overnight hours, the effects will become a little bit less. We will have periods of some heavy rain, a little bit of flash flooding, not out of the question. Some of that could possibly be enhanced a bit if it's happening at the time when high tide is occurring. You get the rain bands coming in at the same time. That could cause some drainage issues. But as far as the wind gusts, 39 miles an hour and greater is tropical storm like Chris was talking about. Most of us will not see that. Best chance right along the coast is where we would see that. Tybee Island, Hilton Head Island, maybe further to the west.
Right, and we can see some areas like McIntosh County. Any of our coastal counties, if you live right there along the islands, you have the better chance of seeing some of this.
Absolutely, and of course, all along the coast, that rough surf is going to be a concern that's going to come along with the higher than normal tides. The full moon is happening tomorrow, so that's why we were already expecting a slightly higher tide, but when you have some onshore winds, that just kind of exasperates this situation just a little bit, and we already have those kinds of conditions out there. Now, Chris, this is the Gfs model, the American model of what the wind gust projection would be based upon everything that's happening right now in the atmosphere. The brighter colors represent the stronger winds offshore. The blues to the very light blue is representative of the lighter wind gusts, much slower winds.
That was showing at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it was showing at about a wind gust of about 30 miles per hour on Tybee. So that would be around Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you get up first thing, you're already going to be able to tell that the winds are picking up. But at 30 miles per hour, that's not even tropical storm force winds yet. As we go through the afternoon, this is looking at 2 o'clock into 6 p.m., that's when we really start to see things amp up more with a greater chance of seeing winds stronger than 39. This is not exact data, this is just to give us an idea, but it is showing that there will be some spots, mainly from Bryan to Chatham, Jasper, and Beaufort counties, where we could see winds stronger than 40 miles per hour.
Yeah, and this actually from the previous runs, this has actually come down a little bit, so that's even better news. We were looking at some of the data a little earlier when I was getting the 6 o'clock show together. A few of the locations right along the coast, like Tybee Island and Hilton Head, extremely close to 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So showing that this is coming down a little bit, that's giving us also some confidence that it's going to be very isolated at where we would see those strongest wind gusts. So further inland, not much of an issue. Then by overnight, 3 o'clock in the morning, we're looking good.
Yeah. So tomorrow is your day.
Tomorrow.
Now looking at the futurecast, we're going to put this into motion. This is Monday morning at about 8 o'clock. Just a few isolated showers starting the day. As the day goes on, middle of the day into the evening, we could see some isolated moderate to heavy rain showers move onshore. Again, mainly coastal areas, but it looks like it could be a very isolated event. And that's why we're saying rainfall totals. Sure, there might be a spot that picks up around 2, maybe 3 inches of rain, but that's isolated and not widespread expectancy.
Yeah, and this has come up in every model run. We're going to see a different amount, almost 3.5 for Beaufort. That's why they do have that flash flood watch in place with the bullseye where we have the brighter yellows and oranges there. Near Charleston and areas a little bit more to the north, upwards of 8 inches or more, not out of the question for them. Localized higher amounts, so some flash flooding will be a concern there. They'll also be dealing with some extra water levels rising, I should say, or storm surge levels coming in. They actually do have a storm surge warning in place. Doesn't take much on a normal summer afternoon for Charleston to flood, but with those strong onshore winds, it's going to be a greater concern for them going through the day tomorrow. So there's that flash flood watch for Beaufort. That goes until 5 a.m. Tuesday. By then, the rain will be ending and things will be really improving.
There was a little bit of a spot of Beaufort County. So right as you, on the edge of Beaufort County in South Carolina, right on the northern eastern side of the county, it's very possible that that could kind of be lumped into where some of that heavier rain falls. So it would not be out of the question to see maybe 1 or 2 rainfall amounts come in that's a pretty decent, hefty amount. So just want to put that out there because that might be somebody that's watching right now. As for the rest of us, if we get maybe 1 to 2 inches of rain, that's a pretty high high expectancy with the chance of rain.
Yeah, and in reality, even though it has been a wet summer, or
Yeah,
a
July's been
wet year,
dry.
I should see, it has been dry, the grass is a little brown in some spots. So this
It wouldn't be a bad thing.
It will actually be pretty beneficial for us to have some pockets of some heavy rain. And we're going to end on this view of Tybee Island. The water is closed. There's a couple of people out there with some boogie boards or surfboards or something. Stay off the water. Rip currents are going to be a concern. These waves happen upwards of, say, 3 to 4 feet through the day, and that's going to continue and pick up as we head through the day tomorrow.
Yeah. So most of the questions that I'm seeing on the Facebook Live, and I'm scrolling through them, it looks like a lot of you feel very comforted that it's going to be a weaker storm than we even thought about a day or two ago. So a lot of people are just saying thank you and saying no big deal. I mean, my advice to you is tonight, just be ready. Like, I'm not saying go fill up your car with gas, nothing like that. But let's say that we do have power outages. If you do have a generator to use, that would be something that, good for you, lucky for you. I don't have one at my house. I'll be here at the studio. Stuff like that. I mean, maybe fill up your tub with water just in case. I mean, again, I think it's going to be a very, very weak system, but to put your mind at ease, to have a couple of things like that ready to go, why not? And know where batteries are, know where your flashlight is, just in case, because there could be a couple of spots where trees get knocked down.
Absolutely. So then, if you happen to be out and about, I'm sure a lot of people will still be heading out, and we haven't seen anything in major shutdowns of things, except for in some of the municipalities right along the coast. So just be weather aware in case you do come across some flooded water, flooded roadways. Turn around, don't drown. You don't know how deep it is or how quickly moving it could be. So just be aware of your surroundings to keep yourself safe. If you see the trees really swing, maybe stay away so that the branches don't come down on you, which is always a chance when you have storms moving through.
Yeah, use your common sense. And as always, we are here. We're going to be keeping you up to date, doing live cut-ins. We will update constantly on WSEV.com and social media. As a matter of fact, you just mentioned a minute ago, we're looking at the 5 o'clock update track. Well, the next updated forecast track will be at 11 p.m., but we're going to get an update at 8 o'clock again from the National Hurricane Center, just to let us know the latest conditions of the storm system. They have hurricane hunters flying in and out right now, sending that data back. So as soon as we get off of here, I will be going on to update that for 8 o'clock. And just check in with us throughout the day. Use your common sense and send us pictures, video to pics@WSEV.com so we know what's going on out there, because we get stuck in this studio and we can't see anything except our weather equipment, and we want to hear from you.
And when we have a window, it's a fake window.
Yes. And when they say 2020, this is the only normal thing about 2020 so far with a hurricane. Isn't that the truth? But thank goodness this is actually a time when I can say, with all the information and stories that come out on a daily basis, thank goodness that this is one that we can sit back and go, okay, we can relax a little bit, That's okay. All right. Let me see. Let me look and see if there are any other questions. And okay, someone said stop scaring people with your fake news. Okay.
This is real news.
All right. Let's see. Skidaway Island, we answered that. Storm surge on Tybee. That we are not under a storm surge watch for our area. We're not expecting that to be a problem. You will see a higher water level, but we are not expecting to have those conditions, because by the time the center of the storm system gets its closest proximity to us, and you do have the full moons, which is going to elevate high tides anyway, we are going to have an offshore flow, meaning that winds will be out of the west, pushing that water out. It's a different scenario for our areas north, but for us, it's not just about the timing of high tide. It's not just about the water levels. Then you have to think about the winds, and the winds will be out of the west, pushing the water out. So we are doing well with the timing and the location of the storm. Let's see. So chance of flooding for tomorrow, not an issue with that. Okay, and I think that's it. So I think everybody's pretty happy and satisfied. Not fake news. So thank you so much for spending your Sunday evening with us, and we will have an update coming at 8 o'clock, and then you are going to be live at WSEV.com with the hurricane special, right? Coming at 8?
That's actually through our Raleigh station. I'm not sure if it's going to be on ours, but
it will be. It will be on ours. It will be on our website too.
Okay.
Yes, it will.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night and stay safe tomorrow.